Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back. Alex StarCraft here, bringing you guys another commentary between Naniwa. This is Naniwa, not some mysterious Korean player. The blue Protoss in the bottom left corner, and LiquidZenio, the red Zerg in the top right corner on Shakuras Plateau. I do want to apologize for not remembering that this was Naniwa the previous game. I know I had looked at this replay. I chose it for the reason that it was Naniwa and Zenio, obviously two very good players. And then by the time I was introducing the players, I had just completely forgotten who it was. So it is Naniwa. I will be labeling the first game as such. I just referred to him as the Korean Protoss the entire game. But of course, let's face it, Naniwa, he's so good, he might as well be Korean in many, many ways. He's one of the top tier players in the world, foreigner or Korean. He can compete with some of the better Koreans for sure. He competes in the GSL. And then, of course, we have Zenio, who is Korean. He is on Team Liquid, very good. I know a while ago, I had a cast with Naniwa in it. I said I could not remember what team he was on. He is currently on Quantic Gaming. I am 90% sure. I will look it up as I sit here and try and cast while doing this at the same time. But that is why last game was a very good game, and this game is very good as well. And yes, he is indeed playing for Quantic. So we do see Naniwa scouting out Zenio. Zenio going for a very standard build. He's just going for the 14 or 15, probably 15 hatch, 14 gas, or 15 pool, 15, 14 gas, something in that range. I didn't see it exactly because I was trying to figure out which team Naniwa was on. But either way, it's just the standard Zerg opening, and we see Naniwa going for that Forge Fast Expand that he has been quoted before as saying, Forge, Expand, or die trying. And so I know he has died trying many times, but he's also succeeded many, many times. So we see that he does have a very good build for that, a very economic build. He does go for the Nexus first. But of course, Naniwa, he knows what he's doing. He knows the risks. We do see Zenio pulling off gas there. I assume we're going to see him start the lair or the Zergling speed in just a second. He remembered to pull the guys off, but I guess he's not going to be starting the Zergling speed right now. He might be waiting till he gets his hatch down. We'll have to see. And yes, it must be that. We do see this drone coming out at the same time as the Zergling. Some very nice timing from Zenio. Just making sure that if there is a probe, if there is a pylon, he can pick it off very quickly. And there is the Zergling speed, immediately followed by the hatch. So both players going for the economic game. Hopefully this will be as good as the game of last one. Last one was very exciting, very back and forth, I thought. And great job to Zenio for winning that. I'm assuming you guys have watched it. If not, you probably should because I just spoiled it. But Naniwa did a very good job. I thought Naniwa was going to win at several points in the game. But also, it's okay for me to spoil it because these are just ladder games. They are not part of a show match or anything. So it is not the end of the world. I didn't just spoil the result of a tournament or something for you guys before, which I have almost done in my earlier casting days. But Naniwa does have this Nexus down. I would think we'll see a transfer pretty soon. Not quite yet, apparently. The Zergling's running in, seeing if they can pick off this probe, and it doesn't look like they'll get it. No, they won't get it. They can't get in there. And he does lose one Zergling to this cannon. The cannons are oh so annoying for Zerg players early game. And Zenio saying, I'm not going to break that wall. I'm just going to grab me a third hatchery. Of course, he just made a whole bunch of drones, so he doesn't have quite enough money. But here is the hatchery. Or he'll make 6 more drones and then not make a hatchery. Of course, drones are also just as important because, of course, having that hatch up early, it is good and it does give you that extra larva, but having the drones is of huge importance. That was a fairly late third hatch, though. A lot of times you see that go down around 4:30 from at least a lot of huge macro Zerg players. You'll see someone like Rhett, someone like Idra, who I haven't seen it play in a while, but I assume he would do that. You'll see them go for that extremely fast third hatch. But Zenio does already have the speed, so that is an advantage to this build, using those quick little Zerglings, checking all the nooks and crannies up here for all the proxy pylons. I know that is something I do. I am paranoid when I play a Protoss player. I just have a Zergling running all up and down this entire half of the map, just making sure that there are no proxy pylons, because as I did discuss last game, for a Protoss gateway push, that proxy pylon is so very important, and we have a ninja expansion coming up from Zenio. This is a very interesting decision, and you can see it is risky, but it is also going to be fairly okay, because it looks like Naniwa is going for a bigger macro game. Last game, we did see that +1 coming out on the Forge fairly early. We do not see it this game. We see the earlier 2 gases being taken. This is indicative of a more tech-focused play as opposed to some kind of gateway pressure. He might move out with some of these Zealots, some of these Sentries, but it is not quite the 5-gate, 6-gate that we saw last game, or that you'll see a lot of times from Terran players. So if Zenio can get some mining done on this, that could really pay off. It could be interesting, especially when Naniwa eventually scouts it, and it's just kind of like, how long has this been here for? Of course, the flip side being that if Naniwa pushes out soon, Zenio spent 300 extra minerals on that and is not going to have all of those units. So we see Zenio pulling back these Zerglings just bit by bit, trying to keep map control. And it looks like Naniwa is going to put on a little bit of pressure. We do see the probe coming out as well, going to try and do a bit of damage with that. But Zenio does not have very many units, guys. He has 7 Zerglings on the field, a scouting Phoenix, hallucinated Phoenix, I should say, just flying in. And this is where Naniwa might sense that something's off. It'll be interesting to see what he does, just because at this point in the game, like, this is when, like, a 6-gate would happen. Normally, Zergs do have many more units than this. They have a whole bunch of roaches. Their supply will be skyrocketing just because they'll be producing roaches off 3 hatcheries, constant production with all the larva injects because they're really good at that. All that stuff. So it looks like Naniwa is not pushing, but he is grabbing an early 3rd, and this game is kind of insane. So we have Zenio going for 4 base before, like, building roaches practically, and we have Naniwa going for a 3rd timing similar to a Zerg's if a Protoss doesn't go for the Forge Fast Expand. We do see Zenio is going to see if he can break that at all, but no, he is not able to. Not wasting force fields on these Zerglings in the open field, because that would take just way too many to trap all of them. And we see Zenio just running around trying to keep control of the map, of the center. That is so important. And he will see this expansion on the way. He knows the timing. But at the same time, he's like, I'm mining off your 4th or 5th expansion, depending on how you choose to expand. And so he's getting that nice little income. So we see Zenio already has over 2,000 income. And Naniwa has 1,600 himself. Zenio's still not done droning. He'll probably make about 10 more before stopping. And we just have them dancing back and forth a little bit in the center of the map. Of course, Naniwa doing a very good job scouting with these Phoenix. That is something I've seen certain Protoss players do before. I've seen Todd do it in a game I've casted before. Just where he religiously, every 3-4 minutes, sent down a hallucinated Phoenix through the main, through the 3rd, through the natural, just to know he knew exactly what tech was coming. And we do see Naniwa seeing the tech from Zenio. But very interesting choice from Zenio. He throws down the Hydra Den, and then as soon as the Phoenix left, he threw down the Spire. So that might trick Zenio a little bit. Because, of course, if he does choose to go for that Colossus play, the Mutas are terrifying. But we do see Zenio, or Naniwa, it seems he's too smart for that. Building the Twilight Council, which will let him get the Blink Stalkers, the Charge Lots, all those fun little things that are kind of the bane of Ling Muta, especially because it allows you to get that Templar tech as well. And so both players are just going for these such huge macro plays. We see Naniwa at 65 probes, Zenio just hitting 80 drones. So both players are totally saturated, and Naniwa, as soon as he puts guys on this gas, he will have such huge gas income for a Protoss player. A lot of times you will see the Zergs go for this gas income on 6, 8, 10 geysers, and of course that's great when you can produce, 60 roaches at a time. Maybe that's a bit of an exaggeration, but you can make a lot of units. Protoss, if you have 600 plus gas income, then you're just constantly making Colossi, you're making Stalkers, especially when Colossi take a minute or maybe more to make. Yeah, more than a minute to make. That gas income is wonderful because you can do constant Colossi production off 2 Robos and then more, or whatever tech you desire, whether it be Dark Templar, Blink Stalkers, Charge Lots, anything you want. Of course, you do have to be very worried when you see 15 mutas in the production tab from Zenio, and he still has good macro. He does not have a huge number of minerals as many Zerg players would. So these mutas have the potential to be quite dangerous. And he's been mining at this expansion for quite a while. I'd imagine Naniwa still doesn't have any idea about this, I assume. No, he does not. He just sees a bunch of Zerglings, a bunch of Roaches running in. And Zenio just doing a pretty good job keeping control of the center of the map, making sure if the Protoss pushes out, he knows. And he will also have the slightly better positioning. He'll be waiting right here, fully aware of where the Protoss is, and he'll have the better concave. Of course, if Naniwa chooses to just run up here like he does, but I would assume Zenio does see this. Yeah, he knows everything going on. He saw that army poking. And he could do a lot of damage with these mutas. He runs them in over here. He's picking off a few probes. He does have a overseer with the units as well. He's just going to try and attack these stalkers, see what he can pick off. And he has a bunch more mutas coming out. It seems like mutas are really Zenio's tech path of choice in these games. He's doing a very good job with them. With that high APM, we see both players, particularly Zenio, blazing away at 150 Blizzard APM. So very, very fast. And those mutas are just so good if you manage to control them properly, especially against a huge stalker ball like this. But Naniwa has managed to get a very nice composition here. Of course, having the Archons coming out now, he's using the Dark Templar to make Archons, it seems. Yeah, he is. Because they're just a bit more macro-friendly than the High Templar. They're not quite as much gas, and they cost a few more minerals, so it just balances everything out a little bit more. That's my opinion, at least, when I have to go Archons in mono battles. I mean, he does have a very nice army here. Immortals to deal with the Roaches, Archons to deal with the... Immortals to deal with the armored, Archons to deal with the not armored, and then Stalkers to deal with anything in the air, really just all around units. And of course the Sentry is very good for controlling the battlefield, controlling your positioning. And so it looks like we do have Naniwa pushing out, and he is at almost equal supply with the Zerg. This could be very dangerous for Zenio. We see him building a lot of spines which are just about to finish, and this is nice in a lot of ways just because it delays the Protoss player. They say, oh, I can't just charge into this. Of course, the force field's not too good against spine crawlers. They don't really do anything. So he does use a Guardian Shield. Of course, that's not doing the most in the world. We have a whole bunch of Banelings trying to run in, pulling back, wasting a few force fields there. So that was very good. Seems Zenio, he's just trying to muster up all the forces he can for the engagement. We have a big Mutaflock. But all the spine crawlers have fallen, and Zenio is going to need to engage very soon. Otherwise, he will not be in the best shape in order to engage this, because the concave is so good from Naniwa, and he needs to engage soon. He has all these units hidden back here. He could just go for the flank once the units are on the ramp. Looks like that he needs to go. He does have the Banelings loaded into the Overlords, and he will be running in now. The Muta's flying in. Force Field is being used, but that doesn't matter when you're going for Overlord drops, because you see the Overlords just do so much damage. The Stalkers microing back as best they can, but all the Immortals are getting caught by the Mutas, and the Stalkers are forced to retreat. They're going to be picking off this hatchery. But without those Immortals, these Roaches can be a threat now, and these Mutas can be very scary. They can outrun the Stalkers, and Zenio does not have a pylon up at the front. His only place to warp in is back here, and so you can see, even though I would assume, yeah, Zenio did lose more, that definitely went in his favor. He's ahead by about 50 supply there. They were on equal supply when the battle started, and he's still mining away at this base. He's got it about halfway mined out. We have another big engagement coming down in here. Some free Stalkers getting earned by Zenio right there. Very good positioning. Just picking off those few units makes such a big difference. And now he's just going to be pulling back. I'm not sure exactly why this is. This is probably just going to make more Banelings if he has a Baneling nest. No, he doesn't. He did lose it in the center when the Protoss pushed out earlier. So he's just pulling back. We do see the Greater Spire on the way, and he does have a Baneling nest. So he is warping in some more Banelings. And he's just doing what he can. He's keeping control of the center, poking and prodding. He just really wants to make sure he knows where the Protoss is. He is engaging now. Does have a pretty good position. The Storm's very good from Naniwa. The Mute is taking so much damage. All these units, you look at that, they're almost all in the red or the orange. There's only a few that are still green. He does see this exact expansion timing. Naniwa trying to grab a fourth. And if there's something scarier than a Protoss on 4 bases. I'd like for you guys to let me know what it is, because I've not met it before. He's going for another engagement here. Again, not the greatest positioning. Naniwa forcing the engagements in the good positions, which is, of course, very important. We have Zenio just attacking, sacking units, sacrificing units, I should say. That's what sacking would mean. Just trying to free up supply because he had 10 Corruptors on the way in the production tab a second ago. Wherever they are, where are they? I wish I could show you on the mini-map. Here they are. He's morphing in 6 Broodlords. He'll be making a few more in just a second, I would imagine, as soon as he's not supply blocked. He has the 2nd Spire on the way. And if he can just wait for these Broodlords, he will be in good shape. But this is a very scary time for the Zerg player when the Protoss pushes out right when your Broodlords are on the way. But you need those Broodlords to engage. You are not strong enough with just your Zerglings. You see Zenio doing a very good job splitting his Zerglings, morphing and banelings. And he is not really afraid to lose his 3rd, because he has had a 3rd up here this entire time. And Naniwa still has no idea that it's there. And so it seems like Zenio is engaging. The Broodlords doing all their attacking, but they're getting blinked underneath. They're getting picked off very quickly. But that did allow the Zerglings and the Banelings to get good positioning, good fungals coming down from the Infestors. So even though he did lose a lot of Broodlords, I think that definitely favored Zenio right there. Just because he lost his Broodlords, but he decimated that army. You can see he's ahead by a lot now. These Stalkers trying to get a little bit of work done, but they get picked off very quickly. And Zenio has this expansion now as well. He is just going macro crazy right here with 81 drones. He's a little drop of some Zerglings here in the Protoss main, but they will be picked off very quickly by the Dark Templar, by the Zealots. It seems like Zenio is going to be trying to push in, see if he can get any work done again. If he can pick off this expansion, that would be huge, because it just got up. It is not mined at all. And that would just be 400 minerals here. And it's a good fungal growth coming off, getting all of those Stalkers. Huge storms going down on the Zerglings, but it seems like there's just a lot of Zerglings flying in. The storms being forced, but of course those do hurt your own units. He's morphing in Archons and Stalkers with what he has. But at this point, I think Zenio is definitely in control of this game. He's just a bit ahead on the macro. He's just been doing so well with his bases, with his tech. He's been getting a whole lot of different units. And he does have these Zerglings in the main, so even though the Protoss is trying to harass him, he's doing harass as well. We have a lot of drones, probes running up in here, the Zerglings running in as well, but they could do a lot of damage if Naniwa is not careful, if Zenio controls them properly. But the Stalkers and Archons coming in here, picking off the Zerglings. Of course, Zerglings are not the most valuable unit in this game at this point. I'm sorry, guys. Oh, this casting is making me tired. These have been 2 long games. Another great fungal coming out from Zenio. Oh, geez, getting Neural Parasite on the Archon. It does get picked off, but morphing 2 Broodlords right over the Stalkers. And these... okay, he does cancel them. I was going to say, those are fast Broodlords. We do have the High Templar running out. I'm not sure if it's on purpose. He probably, yes, he is going to try and fungal or feed back the Infestors. Of course, that means less fungals. And yet again, the Broodlord's just dying. This is not very good for Zenio. The Stalker's blinking down, getting more and more free Broodlords. And the Infestors, they could have gotten fungal growth off, but you see none of them have the energy to. The ones that did get feedbacked by the High Templar. And there is some mining going on here, so we see, if we take a look at the incomes, they're about the same they've been all game. But I feel like Zenio's lost his advantage a little bit. You can see he's still ahead by about 60 supplied, 177 over 106. Of course, about 30 of that is workers, up to 95 drones now. So Zenio needs to be careful. He does not have a huge supply advantage, but he does have finally some Broodlords. They're doing what little damage they can, and if they can retain a position like this, he can be in good shape. But the Dark Templar are doing a little bit of work on them there. And wow, a little bit of BM from Naniwa, and it looks like what changed the entire game were these Zerglings running in right here. I'm sorry, guys. I was so focused on what was happening in the middle, I missed this little run by. And yeah, that's what cost the game right there. So if we take a look at the Workers Lost tab, currently Zenio's killed 9. If we go ahead and go through this, he will kill, let's see, 9, 10, 12, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19. So he does kill 20 probes. And so at that point, we see he's down to about 52 probes, which is not the worst, but he was just not in great shape here. He was contained by the Broodlords. So Naniwa getting a little angry there. I can definitely understand that was a long, drawn-out macro game, but again, very good play from both players. Even though Naniwa did not win, you can definitely learn something from watching his play. And of course, you can learn something from watching Zenio's as well. Very good tech choices, good decisions with macro, and he still never, ever saw this expansion, and that is also, of course, important. So, I don't know. Protoss is maybe just send a probe up here sometime just in case. I'm not really sure, but either way, I hope you guys enjoyed the game. I hope you guys are still enjoying watching my videos. Subscribe, like, share, watch anything you want, anything to get me some more people to watch what I love, to get StarCraft 2 spread around. So I hope you guys enjoyed and have a wonderful day.